Mark's presentation was really refreshing. It was reminded me of everything that we knew about marketing, and he refreshed it. And he refreshed it in a very interesting way, and I appreciated that.
Mark's presentation was awesome today. Actually, I found it super insightful. I like the charismatic nature that he was talking about the topic. Sometimes when you talk about branding and marketing topics, it always sounds the same, and this was very different. And I like the fact that he was utilizing real life examples to talk about how you can kind of see yourself in that place that he was talking about, and it helps you resonate with the topics that he's talking about. That's why I wanted to talk to him right after he was done. I'm like, I got to get in line and chat with him.
Listen, Marc's presentation today was inspiring. It was like one of those kind of presentations that you're sitting in the audience and you hear it and then you just want to jump up and like be in action around something that you feel like, well, that was obvious, but why aren't they in action around it? I think that's kind of how I felt about Marc today.
I think what stood out was his example at the end of the ladder, and your value proposition is incredibly important. And I am aware of my own value proposition. I feel guilty. All I did was say what I do and what my features and benefits are. But I think the ladder was a really great way to encapsulate how to get a proper value proposition. It's incredibly important.
Something that I found super interesting is that the fact that he's worked with a lot of big brands, but recognizing that, problems are problems. You can go sit in any boardroom, no matter what the conversation is. And as long as you've got that history, you've got that knowledge, you can bring that experience into wherever you go into. So the fact that he's worked with those big brands and then he's figured out a formula to then take that big brand experience and bring it to small businesses, A, I mean, it's inspiring if nothing else, but B, I just want to pick his brain a little bit more and understand it a lot more. So I found that really interesting that he kind of went from because most people strive to go from working with small companies to big companies, and his mantra was the exact opposite. So I found that really inspiring.
I think what Marc does really well, and the take home for me listening to Marc, was he takes concepts that are like big brand, big company concepts that you pay a lot of money to an agency to give you this information, and he boils it down to something that's actionable for companies at a much smaller stage. So this concept of having different market areas and being focused or maybe trapped inside of one market area and needing to cross the chasm and think about your product meeting the needs of a bigger market, I think those are some of the takeaways that just really resonate, especially from such a short presentation.
I think the group that would benefit the most are people that are newer entrepreneurs, the next generation. Again, a lot of these, as he said, a lot of these tactics and strategies have been around for years. So I think it's refreshing, for us that have been through it to hear it in a different way. But I think the audience really are the people that are just getting to that stage of the company where they have to apply these kinds of things.
I would say that I don't think there's a particular demographic or a particular person or groups that would, because again, when it comes to branding, marketing strategy, and the expertise that Marc has, I think it would really be beneficial for whether you're running a small business or a large enterprise business. At the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to resonate with your audience. So helping you understand who your audience is and making sure you're resonating with them so that loyalty is there. If you're trying to run a small business, you're an entrepreneur, you want to make sure that your audience builds that loyalty towards you. I think you could use Marc's help.
I think the most specific demographic that would benefit from listening to Marc and getting some of his key messages are companies at not the early stage, but at the stage where they're really trying to get their scale, trying to build out and think about how they're going to scale up. And his insight around how much larger companies got to scale, got to profitability, found their repeatable patterns, focused on the right market so they didn't get trapped in the wrong markets. I think companies at that stage, there's so much to learn from someone like Marc.